Yeah, we started the recording, so we'll start the class here now. All right, so these are some of the things we're going to be discussing today. So let's continue with this topic of synthetic equivalence. Let's see what we have covered on this larger topic. We have done payout profiles earlier, and now we went into synthetic equivalence positions. Okay, synthetic equivalence, arbitrage, understanding CRA, understanding misuses of arbitrage, and we are back to this now, understanding synthetic equivalence. So we're looking at here this 12.2 in the Halbasu means. We are looking at this one. This is 12.2 starts from here. That's why I said I think 2 point. Yeah, this is what I mean by 12.2. Okay. This, of course, you're not allowed to do in this particular project, but this is what you're learning about. When you're looking at synthetic equivalence, you have to look at underlying assets as well. And so we'll be looking at six positions and their synthetic equivalents. Okay, let's start. You can do your reading from here, and you can also do it from the Nattenberg book. This is our part here. Okay, so synthetic equivalence, we talk about, you already know now what a synthetic equivalent is. Something that will produce the same, it will produce the identical set of cash flows. It's a portfolio position that will produce the identical set of cash flows, identical to the position for which it is a synthetic equivalent. Okay, so these are the terms that we are using. Okay, so L is for long, S is for short, U is for underlying, B is for put, and C is for call. So as you see, you have a total of 6 positions. You have in the underlying, you can have, including the underlying and as you can see here, option and underlying asset here. So you have in the underlying, you can have 2 positions: long underlying, short underlying. There are 2 types of positions, and there is one underlying, and there's one underlying market, and then there are markets for puts and calls. So you put them together, you have long underlying, short put, long put, short call, and long call. 6 positions that we are concerned with in this particular module, discussing them. Right? Okay. So, and K, we are calling K the strike price. In the case of the options, we are calling the K is the strike price, or the underlying position entry price is K. Alright, okay, so let's look at the first one. If you're long underlying at K, okay, now maybe I should move this out of the your framework, because then I can. It makes more sense to quiz you guys on this, but anyway. So as you can see here, maybe we don't have to ask everybody for every particular point. We try to understand how this works. That if you have a situation of long underlying at K, you're trying to think of what would be the synthetic equivalent for this position. Okay. So try to see why a long call at K is a long call at K and a short put at K is the equivalent of the long underlying at K. Okay, understand this, why these two constitute the synthetic equivalent of this. So let's see how that works. And let me just put this down here. Okay. So here you have, let's look at the picture here. I think that'll make it much easier if you look at the picture. Here. These are the option positions, actually. These are the option positions. But anyway, we look at it from, we can imagine the position, how it would look. So if you see here, if you first look at the way you go about this, let's learn the logic, the thought process that goes into this. Okay. So first, when you're asked this question, that this is your position, And so what is the synthetic equivalent? So first you have to draw, in your mind, you should draw the payoff profile of the position, okay? Or you can draw the profit profile also, whatever, either of the two. You draw the profit profile, I think it's more comprehensive. So you draw the profit profile of this of the position that you're given, and then you try to figure out how, through synthetic equivalence, you can create the same profile of same profit profile. So long underlying at K, how you would create the profit profile, if you remember, if you're long underlying at K, then as the market, these are for all prices higher than K, and these are for prices lower than K. Okay, and this is your profit on this axis. So these are all expiration diagrams. So you can imagine, as your time, when it comes to liquidating your position, as it goes higher than K, you are making money proportionately. So if it goes $10 higher than K, then you're making $10 of profit. If it goes $15 lower than K, you're losing $15 of, you're making a loss of $15. So that's why you see that the long underlying at K has a 45-degree line kind of, has that kind of profile, because it makes money in a proportionate manner. As the price goes up, makes money or loses money proportionately as the price goes to either side of the price at which you're long or short. So here, as you can see, this once again, you should remember when you're talking about this kind of profile. Right now, we're concentrating on this 45-degree line kind of profile. As you're concentrating on this, remember once again, you should remember that that's why these are called symmetric. That's why these are called symmetric instruments, okay? Or to be more precise, these are called instruments with symmetric profit and payoff profiles. So that's why these are called symmetric, because the profile is symmetric on either side of the zero line. That's where the word symmetric comes from. It looks the same on either side of the zero line. So this is something else that you should remember as you draw these pictures. Okay, so you should also maybe write this down. Because this is something that you learned, so therefore you should recap this learning when you're doing this exercise. Right. Profit profile, symmetric versus asymmetric. As you draw them or you look at these, you should remember that. And as I've told you before, the only kind of instrument which has asymmetric profit profiles, as you can see here, this is an asymmetric profit profile, because the look of the graph is not the same on either side of the zero line. So here it looks straight down as a 45-degree line, whereas here there is a kink in the curve. So that's why these are not symmetric on either side. That's why they're called asymmetric. So only options have these kind of profit profiles, and all other instruments, whether they are swaps, there is some kind of curvature, but it's not very pronounced. So we effectively treat it as a straight line. So you have swaps, you have forwards, you have futures, you have spot, instruments, spot valued cash. Everything has this kind of straight profit profile. Okay, only options have this kink. So just to recap that one idea once again, just to make sure you remember it. Okay, so long underlying at K will have this kind of profile. It will go straight up. Okay, now you have to think about the synthetic equivalent of this. So you have to think about, okay, then the way you should do it is to think of it, split it into two problems. Think of the profile as it needs to be generated on either side of the zero line. Don't think of it together. To make it easy for yourself, think of it separately. So first split it up. I need a profile which is going to be symmetrical on either side. But let me think about the profile on either side. So let's see, above this, above the zero line, it needs to look like a straight line going up. okay? And remember one more thing, this is a synthetic equivalent. So therefore, what's going to happen is that this is a synthetic equivalent. So therefore, let me just copy this. Remember, the other definition of synthetic equivalent is that it needs to be in some other market. It needs to be in some other market instrument combination. So it cannot be the same market instrument combination as the position is, okay? So if you are, let's say this position is long underlying, that means let's say you're long Microsoft at K, then this is the spot instrument that you're long here. So the synthetic equivalent cannot be using the same spot instrument in Microsoft. It will use the same market, but it has to use something else, okay? So that's what you have to keep in mind. So this is the way the logic proceeds. So first you, in your mind, you construct the payoff profile of the position itself. And then you ask yourself, how do I recreate the same payoff profile by using synthetic equivalents? Now, if I'm talking about synthetic equivalents, I cannot be using the same market instrument combination as here. This is a spot, in this case, long underlying at K is a spot instrument. So I have to use something else. I have to use options. So now you split it up into two problems. Okay, how can I using what kind of option position? Remember, there are four kinds of option positions: long and short, with calls and puts. So, which you ask yourself, which kind of option position will give me above the zero line a 45-degree profile like this? Anybody wants to answer that? Shaurya, you're not on mute, so let's ask you. Yes.
Can you repeat question, sir?
Yeah, question is, we are dealing with the first problem. We are trying to construct the synthetic. We are trying to go through the 6 possible positions that we have in the underlying asset and the and options. There are 6 possible positions, okay? And we are trying to go through this exercise where we would look at each of the underlying positions, and then at that time we would consider what would be the synthetic equivalent of that underlying position, okay? And that's what we are trying to do. And so therefore, that's the question. So the question at this stage is, we are contemplating the synthetic equivalent for, long underlying at K, and therefore we have to look at the so we are splitting up the problem of what would be the synthetic equivalent. We are splitting it up into 2 parts. That is, first ask yourself, on the above the zero line, what kind of option position would give me profile which has a 45-degree line like this dotted line over here. Okay, what looks like this? And so that's the question actually. Yes, Shaurya, you want to answer? What happened? Shaurya's not. Anybody wants to answer? Nobody knows the answer. How? Is my question clear? Is my question not clear? Sachin, you are asking about the question. Is it clear now? The question.
Yes, sir, it is clear, but I am not sure how to answer that. It is clear for me, sir. Yes.
Question is clear. Okay. No, let me frame it once again. It's a pretty simple question. I want you to understand this logic, because if you, okay, Ketan has raised his hand. Ketan can answer, yes. What kind of option position will give me above the zero line a profit profile that will look like this dotted line, straight line going up? Yes, Ketan? What happened to Ketan? He raised his hand. Okay, let's ask Gaurav.
Sir, long call.
Correct. So Gaurav is correct. So instead of asking a question, you yeah, okay, that's okay. I understand. Long, short, Long call. Okay, long call. Yeah, Ketan has also said long call. So you're correct. So that is the right answer. So this is how you should go about this process, that you look at what is the position that you're considering. The position that you're considering is long underlying at K. And so now you're asking yourself, what is the synthetic equivalent of this position? You know that the synthetic equivalent must be in a different market instrument combination, so you can't consider spot instruments. Therefore, you have to look at options here in this particular case, because we are dealing with options. So you have to look at options, and therefore, and further, you have to create the same profit profile to split it up, to make it easier for you. Split it up into two problems. First, look at above the zero line, and then look at below the zero line. So above the zero line, as Gaurav and Ketan have correctly answered, it is a long call that will give you this kind of profile. Okay, that you need a straight 45-degree line. So that's one part of it. So now we know that one will be a long call. Okay. Now, what will give us this kind of profile? What will give us this kind of profile? Now think about what happens in the case of instrument where in the case where we need the line below the zero line, the part below the zero line, we need a similar kind of profile. You have to now ask yourself, below the zero line, what kind of option position gives me this kind of profit profile, that as the market drops, I am symmetrically losing money. Is my question clear for the second part? Same thing.
Short put.
Yeah.
Long put, sir. Long put.
Short put, sir.
Long put. Somebody said something else before that, I think.
Short put, sir. Double A, sir. Short put.
Double A is battery is fully charged. We can see that because the double A is correct. It is short put. That it is the short put that will give you this kind of profile. Remember, because short put, what will happen in the short put? If you're short put with this particular strike price, as the market goes below the strike, the put is constantly losing money in a proportionate way, because the intrinsic value of the put keeps on increasing, okay, as the market keeps on dropping. So because the strike of the put doesn't change. As the market keeps dropping, the intrinsic value keeps on increasing, and that increases the total value of the put. So now you can see how you have constructed the full equivalent of this.
Sir,
Yeah.
the answer is short put because short put act in the same way the long call act. The nature will be the same.
Yeah, if you're saying the nature is the same in the sense that both of them will produce a symmetrical line. I mean, they will both produce a 45-degree line.
45-degree line, yes.
Of zero. In that sense, if you mean it, then you're correct.
Yes, sir. In that sense, sir, I'm asking you whether I'm wrong. Okay, sir.
That's why they are the same, because they are both going to produce this kind of profile. And so that's why you choose these two instruments. Is this clear now, Vipul? Why it's not a long put, it's a short put?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I understand it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so that's good. So it's always ask questions. It's very good that you're always any kind of doubt, because remember, everybody looks at things in a different way. So when the way you learn, the process of learning is, when I'm introducing you to a new idea, you can't just take my own idea and just take it in isolation. That's not how the brain works. You have to fit that idea into your own way of looking at the world. So that's why you need to clarify certain things so that it becomes clear to you, and in the way that you look at things, and that's how you learn. So therefore, it's very important. And actually, that's the reason why people need to come to class, so that they can ask questions. Because otherwise, you can just listen to the lecture later on, but then you don't have the benefit of asking questions. So that is the real purpose of coming to class.
Sir, to clarify what Vipul said, long call and short put,
Yeah,
they both show the same behavior towards the market.
that's a very general statement. That's too strong a statement, I would say. I would say they are same only in the sense that, as I was responding to, as I said in the response to Vipul's question, I would say they're only same they're same in only one respect. That is, that they both have on either side of the zero line they both produce 45-degree line kind of payoff profiles, profit profiles. Only then, because in the case of the long call, if you remember, see the long call, what will happen is the long call will look like this. If you look at the solid line here, the long call looks like this. Okay, so the
Yes, sir.
long call doesn't produce a 45-degree line below the zero line. It produces a 45-degree line only above the zero line. Correct?
Okay, sir.
Similarly,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Similarly, if you look at a short put, okay, a short put is here basically, the solid line. The short put also does not produce a 45-degree line above the zero line. Okay, just like if I make this a little bit smaller, then I can see everything in one view. Here, you can see both now. Okay, so you can see here the long call profile. It does not have it has a 45-degree line look only above the zero line, whereas the short put profile has a 45-degree line only below the zero line. So they are same only in that respect. Then on the respective sides of the zero line, they have 45-degree line profit profiles. Is this clear now? What's up?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, only in that respect they are same. Otherwise, that's why I objected to your statement. I didn't agree with your full statement because your full statement was very general kind of things. It was a very general statement, so it might have been seen as a broader statement. It is true, they are same only in this narrow sense. Yeah?
Yes, sir. Sir, when it is above the zero line, the long call when it is above the zero line, and when the short call when it is below the zero line, then they assert a sort of a same
Correct.
trajectory.
Yeah. Then
45-degree.
if you mentally wipe out the zero line, you will not be able to tell the difference. Because
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's what I was saying.
yeah. If they're both 45-degree lines, so if you mentally wipe out the zero line, you can't tell the difference.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So let's try to see. I hope everybody is going through the notes and creating your own notes, practicing on the spreadsheets by yourself. Okay, because all right. Okay, so let's go on to the. You need to do that, otherwise your learning will be useless. Because this is, if you can learn the advantage of all this is the advantage of doing a little bit of hard work at this stage is once you learn all this stuff thoroughly, you will never need to revise it in your whole life. Okay, so I learned all this stuff when I'm Ahmedabad, and then a little bit after that. But when I learned it, I made sure that when I was learning, initially it's a little difficult because it's a new concept. It doesn't mean that you're stupid. It's just that it's a new concept, and when something new and fairly complicated, so you have to be very careful. You have to go step by step. You make sure you understand everything. So initially it's a little slow. It takes a little time, but it's a good foundation because once you put in that effort, then for the rest of your career, it will just be like doing WhatsApp for you. So you don't have to think about it. And once you internalize it, that's why it's very important to understand conceptually, not to memorize. Because memorizing, it's a waste of time. After your exams, you'll forget it, and there's no value addition for your career. Okay, so remember that, please, because you guys are all coming. It's not your fault. Everybody is coming from the same kind of Indian education system where we are used to mugging up things. So you get into that culture, but you have to consciously work to change that mindset, because otherwise it will hurt you in your career. Okay, you will not have a good career because you will not have great clarity. And then you'll be confined to doing politics at work to get ahead instead of getting ahead based on your competence. Okay, so in the other cases, I have not put @K. Okay, we are going to go through all the 6 positions. We have not put @K. That is understood. In the first one, I put it. So the rest is, so the next position that we are going to consider is short underlying. Okay, so short underlying. The first is the short underlying position, and then we're going to ask the question of what is the synthetic equivalent of that. You can already see the answers, but let's go through this. So short underlying, if we look at, okay, what will happen in the case of a short underlying is it will have this kind of, let's see if this guy has, if they have some, it may not have anything here. This will not have that, but we'll just do it here. We'll just do it mentally. Okay, and I'm just going to make this a little smaller, even smaller than this. Maybe we'll make it 90. So you can see everything in one shot, one view. Okay. So the short underlying, remember, is short underlying. If I'm short underlying at K, okay, what happens as the market price drops below K? Am I making money or losing money? Who should we ask?
Sir, can you repeat? Sir, can you repeat?
If
One
I'm
more time.
short the underlying at K, if I'm short the underlying at K, and this is my y-axis, is my profit profile, plotting my profit on this axis, and I'm plotting the underlying asset prices or the option strike prices on this x-axis. Okay. So if I'm short the underlying K, somebody here is not on mute, and this. All kinds of Vipul is talking, so Vipul is fine. So the question is basically, so what I'm saying is, the question is that if I'm short the underlying at K, what is going to be my so what is going to happen to my profit as the market drops? The second option position, yeah, we are looking at short underlying. Okay, short underlying. As the market drops below the zero line, am I going to be making, not below the zero line, sorry, as the market drops below K, my short underlying position, am I making money or losing money?
Making money.
Making money, okay. So as the market drops below below K, I should be making money, which means for all prices below this, my plot should be above the zero line. So if I'm short at 100 and the market is at 80, then I'm making $20. So the 80 plot should be over here somewhere, let's say $20. Okay. Then if the market goes to 70, then I'm making $30. So it should be here. Then if it goes to 60, I'm making $40, should be here. So that means for a short underlying position, your profit profile on the above the zero line should look like this, like these two lines. Okay, it should be a 45-degree line above the zero line. Okay, moving from K, except that this one and these two are centered a little bit off K, but if we take K, so this, imagine that there's a parallel shift in this, and then you just take the solid line and it will be shifted parallelly to start at K, and above K, anytime the price drops below K, the plot is above the zero line, so you make some profit, so it looks like a 45. So the short underlying above the zero line looks like a 45-degree line here, from K. Now, what happens when you're short at 100 and the market rises to 120? Are you making money or losing money?
Sir, we are losing money.
Losing money, right? So in this case, your PNL has to go below the zero line. So if the market is, you are short at 100 and you are long at and the market is at 120, you are losing $20. So it should be your plot should be somewhere minus 20. Okay, so the first plot is minus 20. Then the market goes to 140, then you're losing $40. So this has to be at minus 40, and so on and so forth. At $50, if it's at 150, then you're losing $50. So you can see that effectively what will happen is that for the short underlying position, the plot will be again a symmetrical 45-degree line below the for all points above the point at which you're long or short, which in this case we are taking as 100, okay, at K. So therefore what will happen is this will look like just like the other, kind of like, you can't say mirror image maybe, but the long underlying looks like this. The long underlying goes like this, because as the price goes above K, you start making money. As the price goes below K, you start losing money. So if you put long underlying and short underlying together, it will look like a cross. So the long underlying looks like this, and you can see the short underlying looks like this. Okay, because the short underlying, as the market goes below K, you start making money. As the market goes above K, you start losing money. So short underlying looks like this. Then long underlying looks like this. All right. So these two basically, essentially, if you put them together, they look like a cross. Okay. So the first part is clear. Anytime anybody has if you don't understand anything that I'm saying, you have to ask a question. Like Utsav and Vipul have asked these questions. It's a good thing because anytime you have any kind of doubt, you must ask a question so that you're able to clarify that doubt, and it becomes easier for you to remember what has been discussed. Okay. Now we have to come to the second part of the question. What will be the synthetic equivalent of the short underlying position? Okay. Once again, remember, you have to go through all the logical steps when you're learning in your brain. That if it's a synthetic equivalent, then it can't be. Now the short, long, underlying, these are all happening in spot markets. Let's say I'm short Microsoft stock at K. So this is a spot instrument. So I can't be in the same market instrument combination for the synthetic equivalent. It has to be in some other market instrument combination, which means you keep the market the same, but it's still Microsoft stock, but the instrument has to change. So in this case, we are discussing options, and we will try to create a synthetic equivalent using options. So that means we are talking about calls and puts on Microsoft stock. And so how can I use calls and puts on Microsoft stock, long and short position in calls and puts, to create a profit profile which looks the same as the short underlying, which means it has to look like this. The profit profile has to look like this, right? So how can I do that? So now we have to ask this question. As I said, once again, you split it up into two parts. First, go for above the zero line, then ask yourself below the zero line. Okay. So above the zero line, I need to create a profit profile that is just like a 45-degree line above the zero line. Now ask yourself, what kind of option position gives you this kind of profile above the zero line? Straight going up. Anybody wants to answer?
Sir, long put.
Long put. Okay, Utsav is saying long put. Anybody has any different view?
Sir, can you repeat, sir? A straight line? I didn't get it.
We are in the middle of that. We are in the middle of that particular problem right now, where we are trying to look at the synthetic equivalent of the short underlying position. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay.
We are trying to create the same profit profile. The short underlying profit profile looks like this. Okay. So we are trying to create the same profit profile, but not using spot instruments, but using options. So now we have 4 option positions available to us. So the question,
Short call.
short, which one?
Short call, sir.
Okay, so Vipul is saying short call and Sam is saying short put. Okay, so
No, sir, I said long put.
sorry. I'm very sorry. Yeah, you said long put, correct. So in this case, Utsav is correct, because if you think about it, if what happens in the case of a short call, if you're short a call, then as the pocket, and all the strikes are going to be at K, okay? So for this discussion. So if you're short a call at K, what happens? As the market price goes below K, okay, you don't make money symmetrically, because all you get is the short call profile is here. Okay, maybe I should make it even smaller so that we can see everything in one view. If I make this F11, does it help me? Full screen mode, will it? It may cause problems for me when I. Well, I can't actually. Yeah, okay. So it's a bit too small, but anyway. So you can see everything here. The short call will have this kind of profile actually. First of all, as the market goes below the strike, you don't make any proportionate amount of money. All you make is the premium that you collected. That's why you see short call profile has a constant figure above the zero line. This is the premium that you collected. Okay, so the short call is not going to give me what I want, because, so this is how you figure out, Vipul and everybody else, this is how you figure out. So you can start like that. I mean, that's how you get to the right answer, through trial and error. You ask yourself, okay, maybe it seems to Vipul first that maybe it's a short call. But then you do the profile for the short call and you see whether it's giving you what you need. Here the answer is no, because the short call, as the price drops below K, the strike, the short call is not making, as the market keeps dropping below, the short call position is not making a proportionate amount of money. It is only making the premium that it collected, and that's a constant figure, and that's it. It stays there. So as the market drops below the strike, so it can't be short call. Now let's look at Utsav's answer. Utsav's answer is long put. Okay, so let's see because what we want is this kind of profile. As the market drops below K, we want the profit to be increasing symmetrically. So in the case of a short put, you can see that this will happen, because if you're short, Utsav, you said long put, right? Utsav?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I said long put.
Yeah, you said long put. Yeah, I keep referring to your answer as short put. Okay. So long put, what happens is, as you're long a put, somebody is on the chat box. Okay. All right. So as you, in the case of a long put, what happens is, once again, remember, you have to keep connecting to all the concepts that you have learned in the past. That's how you solidify your learning. So once again, you see, in the case of a long put, what is happening? As the market price, the strike is fixed at K. As the market price keeps dropping below K, the intrinsic value of the long put position keeps on going up, and therefore the long put and therefore the total value of the put option goes up, because the intrinsic value is increasing as the market keeps dropping below the strike. So therefore, in the case of the long put, what will happen is the profit profile will increase in a proportionate manner as the price drops below K. Okay, because the intrinsic value of the put is increasing in a proportionate manner, and so that's what leads to the value of to the increase in the value of the put position, and that's what gives you this kind of profile below the below the strike. Okay, so above the zero line here, and the market price goes above the zero line. So actually, I was talking to you as sort of above the zero line and below the zero line. Actually, we should be talking that in terms of to the right of the strike and the left of the strike. That would be a better way to think about it when you split up the problem into two parts. So you can see here that Utsav is correct. It is the long put that will give you the profile that you want. As the market drops below K, the intrinsic value of the put goes up proportionately, and therefore the profit profile of the long put keeps on going up proportionately. So that's why this one looks like this, the long put. Okay, so remember, you have to create the short underlying profit profile. You've got the less than K part, okay, the first part. Now you have to get, so you need to create a full profile that looks exactly like this, just a 45-degree line, okay? And you've got the first part, you know, is going to be a long put position. What is the second part? Which will give you a position which is going to give you this kind of profile.
Short call.
Short call, correct. So this will be a short call because you need something which will lose money symmetrically as the price rises above K. So it is the short call that does that, and the logic is exactly the same that I gave you earlier. Okay, we are coming to Siddharth. Okay, so it will be exactly the same logic that I gave you earlier. Why will the short call position, why is Utsav correct? Because, and so why is the short call going to lose money proportionately as the price goes above the strike? The answer is, once again, for all option value questions, you should always, yeah, I'm coming to Siddharth. Okay, so for all option value questions, the question, you should always split it up into intrinsic value and time value. It will help you to understand better. So as the price goes above K, the intrinsic value of the call keeps on increasing because the market is increasing above K, so you can make money by exercising it. So therefore, the intrinsic value of the call keeps on increasing proportionately, and therefore, and it's a short position in the call, so your profit actually keeps going into a loss. Your loss keeps on getting bigger, and it keeps getting bigger in a proportionate manner. Okay, so therefore, the other side of the the second part of the synthetic equivalent portfolio will be the short call. So in the case of the second underlying position, which we are looking at, short underlying, the synthetic equivalent is going to be long put here to give you this kind of position, this kind of profile, and short call to give you this kind of profile. So if you combine a long put and a short call, you get this kind of total profile, and that will be the same as the profit profile of the short underlying. Okay. Yes, Siddharth, what is your question?
No question, sir. Sir, by mistake I raised.
Okay. All right, no problem. Okay. Shaurya has asked a question. Whether it's a loss by a short call, I'll just put the question here so that people can see. Is it a loss? It is a loss by short call as if we stayed for longer time, a longer expiration date, because it would have caused some more profit. No, I'm not sure exactly what you mean by this, but you don't have to look at it like this. You have to look at it as, just forget about this, what you're thinking. Use the logic I gave you. Always use for in option value position questions, always think in terms of intrinsic value and time value. So you are short a call at K. As the market price rises above K, what is happening to the intrinsic value of your call? Remember, intrinsic value is derived by asking yourself the question as to what money can I make, what money can be made by exercising the call. Don't ask yourself, because you're actually short the call. So you first figure out the intrinsic value of the call without thinking of whether your position is long or short, because the intrinsic value of the call is not a function of whether you're long or short. The intrinsic value of the call is a function of where the market is, here or here, and what is the strike. That's all. So intrinsic value is purely driven by the market price and the strike price. Okay, and depending on whether it's a call or put, but it's not a function of whether you're long or short. So first you ask yourself, what will happen to the value of the call? And if the value of the call is increasing, then you are going to be losing money because you're short the call. You're short something whose value is increasing. So why is the value of the call going to increase above K? Because the intrinsic value of the call will keep on increasing. As if the strike is 100 and the market is at 120. The intrinsic value of this call is 20, because by exercising it is possible to make $20 of profit by exercising the call and immediately exercising the call and buying the stock, and immediately squaring that long stock position in the market at 120. So you buy the stock at 100, which is the exercise price, and you square it in the market at 120, so you make a clean $20 profit. So that's your intrinsic value. If by doing this exercise you could not have made any money, or you would have lost money, in both cases we write intrinsic value as 0. So in this case, intrinsic value keeps on increasing. When it goes to 120, the IV is 20. When it goes to 150, the IV is 50. So therefore, the intrinsic value of the call keeps on increasing in a proportionate manner. Okay, and therefore, since you are actually short the call, your position keeps on losing money in a proportionate manner. And remember, these are all expiration diagrams. So the question of time value doesn't arise. The time value is 0. At expiration, the time value is 0. So total option value is intrinsic value plus time value. So therefore, when you do this exercise, you're talking about the value of the option. The time value is 0. So the whole thing is based on intrinsic value. But that's how you should think about it. Okay. So does this make sense to you now, Shaurya? Okay, Shaurya's mic is probably not working, but you can stay back. I don't know how, you can stay back and maybe have a chat after the class if it's not clear. But this is how you have to always think about it, okay? The time value part is that these are expiration diagrams. Remember, when we draw these diagrams, unless it is specified, these are all expiration diagrams. So we are plotting what would happen at expiration. It's like a scenario analysis. Remember, I told you these hockey stick diagrams. These are like scenario analysis diagrams. So we ask ourselves at expiration. At expiration, if I'm long 100 call and the price is 150, underlying asset price is 150, then what is my profit? And that answer is 50. So you plot it here, the long call. At expiration, if I'm short 100 call and the expiration at expiration the price is 150, then how much money do I make or lose? The answer is you lose $50. So the plot is here. So the reason there is no time value here is these are expiration diagrams. At expiration, there is no time value because your days to expiration is 0. So there is no time value. And whatever be the implied vol, it has no time to play out. So therefore the time value is 0 at expiration. That's why at expiration, when we look at the value of options, we can just focus on the intrinsic value. But it's important to focus on intrinsic value because that concept should be, that framework should be used in your, it should be in your mind all the time. That whenever you talk about options, you talk about intrinsic value and time value as constituting the total value of the option. Yes? Is this clear? So Shaurya, is it clear now?
Yes, sir. I got the part that we show crime value here is 0 is due to because it is an expiration diagram, and we should see it in the terms of expiration value.
Yeah. So it is. That's why the time value is 0, because you said why you didn't understand why the time value is the time value part of it. That is because these are drawing expiration diagrams. So here obviously the time value will be 0. These are all expiration date scenario analysis diagrams. That okay, if the price is 120, what will be my profit? If the price is 80, what will be my profit? If the price is 150, what will be my profit? And according to you make the plots and then you join the dots and draw the lines, right? So that's why time value is 0. Okay.
Okay, sir.
All right. Okay, good. So we have done 2 of them. We have done 2 of the underlying, 2 of the positions. Okay. The underlying, long underlying, okay, which has this kind of profile, and then you reconstruct the long underlying as using synthetic equivalents, using options, okay, by constructing a synthetic equivalent portfolio using options. And how do you do that? Above K, it needs to go up like this, so there must be a long call, and below K, it needs to go down like this, so there must be a short put. So if you combine a long call and a short put, you will create the same profit profile as the long underlying. So therefore, the long underlying profit profile, which is like this, okay, you can recreate that by going for a long call and short put. Okay, once you get used to it, you do some practice, then it will become very easy for you to understand. And that will solidify your understanding of options. First is long underlying. Next is short underlying. Short underlying has this kind of profile. Also go through all this, that why should the short underlying have this kind of profile? Make sure, it may seem very basic to you, but still make sure that you're able to understand the full graph construction logic. That's why I went through all the baby steps. Imagine expiration date. Remember those things, expiration date, scenario analysis. Okay, so at the time of squaring your position effectively, okay, or when your position is going to be forcibly valued and liquidated. Because for instance, in options, when you have options which are very deep in the money, the exchange will automatically exercise the option. There are certain provisions for automatic exercise of options. That's why you should not let the options get to the expiration date. You should square it out, because before you have, and especially long options, when it gets very close to expiration, your option will lose value dramatically because the theta is increasing dramatically. So once again, as a trading strategy, if you bought some options, let's say you bought a 90-day option, and then as you get towards under 30 days, under 15 days, you should try to be looking to squaring off that option, because you don't want to get to a position where you're long options and there are like 3 days or 4 days to expiry. You'll be losing value at a dramatic pace. Okay, so second position is short underlying. It looks like this. It can be reconstructed by taking a long put, which will give you this kind of profile, and a short call. Okay, so we have done these two. Now, yeah.
Sir, in this diagram, what is this long call signifying?
In which one? You're talking about which of the...
B part, sir. Sir, it is written here, no, long call, the dotted line.
Yeah.
Sir, why is it mentioned here?
Yeah, because this diagram is for 4 of those. Maybe I can. It's not very. The PDF display is not very helpful to us. Yeah, the PDF full display is not very helpful. Maybe if we, I don't think it helps us. Yeah. So your question is, why is this long call written here, right? That's your question, Utsav?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you'll understand. So the way this diagram is structured is, the way you understand this diagram is, in this diagram, we have looked at four. Now here we have already discussed 2 positions, short underlying and long underlying. And we talked about the synthetic equivalents, okay? So here we are talking about the 4 option positions and their synthetic equivalents. Okay, so the scheme of this diagram is like this, that the dotted line shows you the position that we are discussing the synthetic equivalent for, okay? So in this case, in each of these, there is a dotted line, which is the position for which we are thinking about the synthetic equivalent. And then the sorry, did I say dotted line? It's a solid line, okay? The solid line shows you the position for which we will consider the synthetic equivalent, okay, or discuss. Again, here the solid line is the position for which we are discussing the synthetic equivalent. And then the synthetic equivalent, which is why I guess not my point asking you guys, because the answers are all given here. So then the dotted lines are the synthetic equivalents for that solid line position. Does this make sense now, Utsav?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll see. Once you go through the examples, you'll see. So what you have to remember is this, that the solid line is the, remember what are we doing here? Since I'm not asking you, I can show you this thing. What is the exercise we are doing here? Okay. So let's recap some of the stuff. Okay, make sure that we are clear about the basics. Okay. All are K, all are at K. Okay, I'm not doing this at K everywhere, because then I'll have to rearrange all the, push these to the right and all that. So remember, total of 6 positions. Why? 2 types of options, puts and calls. 2 types of positions, short and long. So total number of option positions, 4. Short put, long put, short call, long call. Correct? In the underlying asset, 2 types of positions are possible: long,
Short and long.
short underlying. Okay. So total between underlying and options, we can have 6 positions. Clear? Everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, we have learned about synthetic equivalents. We've learned about synthetic equivalents. Now, the exercise we are doing is we are going to take each of these positions in turn. Okay? We'll take each of these positions and then we will ask ourselves, okay, if this is my position, what is the synthetic equivalent of this position? So we did this for the first two. We looked at if my position is long underlying at K, what would be the synthetic equivalent of that? It would be long call at K and short put at K. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
So that's the exercise. Then we did, if my position is short underlying at K, what is the synthetic equivalent of that? And the answer is long put, as you saw here.
The short put.
No, there's no short put here. You're short underlying, okay? You're short underlying. So you have to create this kind of profile. Short underlying means the profile is like this. Right? So,
Yes, sir.
therefore, if the profile is like this, then you have to recreate that with options, and the answer would be you have to have a long put
Long
to give you,
short put.
and you'll have to have a short call to give you this profile, and that's how you create it. That's why the answer here is for short underlying, it's long put and short call. Okay, so remember once again, you do not memorize this. You always, even today, I don't memorize these things like this. I always do it visually. Okay, of course, maybe with so many years of practice, now it has become automatically memorized. But you don't make an effort to memorize. The way you learn is you do it always with diagrams. If you do it with diagrams, then eventually your brain will automatically remember it. But the way you learn is through diagrams. Okay. Go through the process that I taught you. Draw the first position for which you're looking. This is the solid line, okay? Draw the solid line, which is the position for which you're looking for a synthetic equivalent. First, draw the pay or profit profile of that position. Then ask yourself, what kind of option positions or underlying asset positions do I need to take to create a portfolio which will be a synthetic equivalent for this position, the solid line. Okay, so that's the process. And then to split that process, you can do it again in 2 parts. Consider first above the strike and then below the strike. Okay, so that's how it is, basically. Which is basically roughly corresponding to above the zero line and below the zero line. Not exactly, because in the case of options, it doesn't cross the zero line at exactly the same time that it goes above K or below K. So it's not exactly, but it's kind of approximately. So that's this process. Okay, so yeah, is this clear? So you had some kind of doubt. This is clear now? We'll
Yes, sir.
when we go to the next question, we'll see it better. So let's look at a short put. Okay, our next consideration is short put. Okay. So the next position we're looking at is short put. So this diagram, now you'll understand this diagram a little bit better. This is an important figure for you, 12.1. I'm pretty sure it was the correct figure in your current book also. Okay. So here, if you see what is happening, short put, the position for which, so the first thing we consider is the position for which we are going to think about a synthetic equivalent. In this case, the position for which we are going to think about a synthetic equivalent is a short put. Straight away, when you look at, and so the solid line shows you the payoff profile of a short put. So you should actually practice constructing this yourself, because that'll give you practice. So short put at K. So if you're short an option, you'll automatically pick up some premium. So there will be a part above the zero line. Okay. So and there will be a part. This is your premium intake, and it also shows you that if you're short a put at K, and the market price keeps rising above K, So there's 100, K is 100, and then the market price goes to 120, 130, 150, 140. You're not making proportionately greater amounts of profit. Because you're short an option, you don't make any proportionate profit as the intrinsic value of the option increases. Or the intrinsic value of the option mathematically keeps becoming more and more negative, but in representation terms, we say it's zero. And the market intrinsic value becomes mathematically more and more negative, but you don't gain anything because you're short the option. So you are basically, you're just collecting the premium that you have, and so therefore it's a constant profit. As the market price drops below the strike, you're short a put. As the market price drops below the strike, you will lose money proportionately as the intrinsic value of the option will keep on increasing proportionately. Because remember, intrinsic value will be calculated as, in the case of a put, you should always go through the process for arriving at intrinsic value. How much can I make? How much not I make? How much can be made by anybody? How much can be made by anybody holding a long position in the option by exercising the option, buying the underlying or selling the underlying, and then squaring that position in the market. So you use that logic. As the market price keeps dropping below the strike, the intrinsic value of the put keeps on increasing in a proportionate manner. When the strike is at 100 and the market is at 80, the IV is 20. When the market goes to 70, IV is 30. It goes to 60, IV is 40. 50, the IV is 50. So it keeps on going down. The profit profile will keep on going down because you are short this option, whose value is increasing in a proportionate manner as the market price keeps dropping below the strike. So your profile looks like this. So the short put profile looks like this. So first be clear about that. Okay, the short put profile looks like this. Now, here you have to ask yourself now the second part. Any questions about the short put profile? Why it should look like the solid line here? We're looking at the first quadrant. Everyone should be clear that the short put profile looks like the solid line here. Okay. Now, we have to go about constructing a portfolio of underlying assets and options, which will give us a synthetic equivalent position to our short put position. So we want to construct the synthetic equivalent of a short put. So obviously that can't be constructed using a short put. Okay, so it has to be done by using other market instrument combinations. So it has to be either underlying assets or calls. Okay, so therefore we will now ask ourselves, how can we create the synthetic equivalent of the short put by using a long stock, by using underlying asset position and call option position. So you can see that here, that once again, if you go above the strike, what do you need? You need something which is constant. Okay, you need a constant profit. What you need for all market prices above K, you need something which is a constant profit. So it need not be the exact same profit. When we say synthetic equivalent, it doesn't have to be the exact same profit, but it needs to have the basic structure of the profile. So therefore, what will happen is you will automatically, know that if you need something that is going to give you some profit above K, okay? So if the market goes, it needs to give you some kind of profit, okay? So therefore, you have to think about, one is the short call, okay? If you have a short call, you will have some kind of profit, okay, above the, see, think about it, short, your long, here your short put, okay? Your short put, that means you earn some premium. So you need to earn some premium in the synthetic equivalent as well. So you have to be selling, and if you're already short a put here, therefore in the synthetic equivalent you can't be selling any puts. So you have to be short some option, and it can't be a put, so it must be a call. So your short call and you see what happens here. In the case of the short call will give you some premium, okay? So you will earn some premium, but you see what happens when the market price goes above the strike. In the case of the short call, what will happen is that as the market goes above the strike, you keep on losing money in a proportionate manner, because as the market price goes above K, the intrinsic value of the call, of the K call, okay, remember we refer to in options lingo, we refer to it as the K call. So this is if this is the 100 call, we will refer to this as the 100 call. So if the strike price is 150, we'll call it the 150 call. So the K call, as the market price goes above K, the intrinsic value of the K call keeps on increasing. And since you're short the call, the position value that you have, that keeps on dropping in a proportionate manner, and the loss keeps on increasing in a proportionate manner. As the market price rises above K, the value of the option keeps on increasing in a proportionate manner, and the intrinsic value increases in a proportionate manner. But your position, since it is short that option, will keep on losing money. Okay? You'll keep on making losses as the market price goes above K. So the short call will have this kind of profile. Okay, now the question is, what is the other position that you need? Because remember, what you have to create is a profile which is similar. At the end of the day, it has to look like this, okay, roughly. It has to look like this. So there must be some kind of profit, as it goes above the zero line. Because here in the original position that you're looking at, the short put, as the market price is, for all cases where the market price is above K, for all such scenarios, there is some positive profit. So your net result of whatever you're doing is got to give you this kind of outcome where for all prices that are above K, you should get some amount of money. And for all prices that are below K, you should lose money in a proportionate manner. Okay? So you got one part of it, which is you sold a call, because this is very obvious, because you are trying to create some position where you make some income, okay, on one side of the equation. That is, it's not really mathematical an equation, but one side of the picture. On one side of K, you need to make some constant money. And this is already, the original position is a short put. So if you need to make some money, therefore they must be selling an option, and it can't be a put because the original position is a put. So they are automatically, the answer is the other position must be a short call. So you draw the short call, you can see you'll pick up some money, but then you see the short call has this kind of profile. But what do you need? You need a outcome where above K, for all market prices above K, your profit profile should be, it should not increase or decrease proportionately. It should be kind of flat. Okay, it should be a constant profit above K, like this one. Okay, you're recreating this. So you need this. So, but with a short call that you came up with, that is giving you this kind of profile above K. So you can't allow this to happen. So therefore you need a position which will cancel out this part. This is not acceptable because you need a constant profit above K, and you are getting this kind of thing. So the second position that you need has to be something that will cancel out this part and give you a constant profit above K. So what is that position? If you're losing money in a proportionate manner for all market, as the market price keeps on increasing above K, if that is your problem with the short call, what kind of position do you take in underlying or calls or puts to offset this problem? So you have to now think about what kind of position, and let's say since you have already considered the original position is a short put, okay? You're now considering synthetic equivalents for short puts, so they can't consist of puts. So they have to consist of underlying and calls. And since you need a profit above the zero line, a constant profit above the zero line, that must involve selling of some option. So therefore, since it can't be a put, it must be a call. So immediately your first part of the synthetic equivalent portfolio, the first component of that is a short call position, because it will give you that income that you need. So you got that income, a constant profit. You got that income, but the short call also has this problem that above K, for all market prices above K, the position is losing value in a proportionate manner. You can't afford to have this. You need some other component in your synthetic equivalent portfolio, which will give you, which will offset this and essentially give you with a net flat positive profit above, for all cases above K, all market prices above K. So therefore you need something that offsets this profile, right? So the answer is that what kind of, so now you ask yourself, now instead of giving you the answer, let me give you the thought process. What is, you have to ask yourself, what kind of underlying position? Now here you already know that your original position is a short put. Okay, your original position is short put. Then the first component of the underlying of the synthetic equivalent portfolio is a short call. So the other type of market instrument combination that is left is the underlying asset, spot underlying asset. So you, when you're looking for an offsetting position, you already know that it's likely to be in the underlying asset market, okay, not in calls or puts, because you've already done those. So, or you've already gone through those. So you need, so the question you're asking yourself is, you need some kind of position in the underlying asset which is going to offset this kind of profile. Okay, so you have only two choices in the underlying asset. You have either long or short. So now you have to choose between long or short the underlying asset for you know, so that you can have an effect which cancels out this negative profile. And so the natural answer is, so you ask yourself, what kind of position in the underlying asset will make proportionate amounts of money for me as the market price rises above K? Yes, and the answer is what? Long or short?
Long.
Long has to be long, because it is only the long position that makes money proportionately as the market price rises above K. So therefore it is long stop. Okay. So now therefore, now you have the full answer. The original position for which you wanted to construct a synthetic equivalent was a short put that had this kind of profile. Okay, that had this kind of profile. Now, therefore you go about constructing the portfolio. Now you have to consider the synthetic equivalent. What will be the components of the portfolio that will constitute the synthetic equivalent of the short put? And the way you proceed, I'm giving you the logic. That's very important to understand the logic and how you think about these problems, because that way you don't have to memorize. Okay, you'll see that it's very logical. So you know you need some kind of, you need a profile where on one side of K there is going to be a constant profit. Okay, so therefore you need, you know automatically that straight underlying positions don't provide constant profit. So there must be some selling of options involved, otherwise you don't have a constant profit. And since the original position is already a short put, you can't be selling puts anymore. So therefore the other option available to you is selling calls. Okay, so you know automatically that a short call is involved, okay, to give you that constant profit from the short position in the option. So you do that. And then you draw the profit profile of the short call, and you find that there's a problem here. I need this kind of profile, a constant profit where when prices are above K, but what I'm getting is actually a constantly decreasing, decreasing profit and increasing loss So I can't afford to have this. So I need another component in my portfolio that constitutes the synthetic equivalent, which will have the effect of canceling out this completely, the mirror image of this, so that I will end up with a constant profit above the above K, for prices above K. And the answer to that again is very easy, because you already considered the underlying position is the original position is a short put. The first component of the synthetic equivalent portfolio is a short call. So it can't be either of these two, can't be calls or puts. So must be underlying asset. Now you only have to ask yourself, which kind of position, long or short, in the underlying asset will have the effect of canceling out this kind of profile. That is, as the market price of canceling out, in order to cancel out this profile, what is it doing? It's losing money constantly as the market increases above K. So I need something to offset this. That means I need something which has the characteristic of constantly making money proportionately as the market rises above K, and it must be some position in the underlying asset, either long or short. There are only two types of positions. So naturally, once you've narrowed it down like this, it becomes very obvious that it's only the long underlying position. That here they have written long stock, but when you read these, you should read it as long underlying, okay? Because you should think in terms of general principles. The examples are given as stock, so it's written long stock, but these are actually long underlying. So you can see this. So now, is it clearer now? Utsav was asking this question, why are the dotted lines, what are they? Now is it a little clearer, Utsav? Why does it make more sense now?
Yes, sir. Now it is clear.
Now you understand? Okay, so the basic scheme of these diagrams is like this. That, remember the exercise we are doing? The exercise we are doing is this. We have constructed the 6 possible positions in options and underlying. Then we are going one by one, and we are looking at, we are saying, okay, if this is our original position, what portfolio will constitute the synthetic equivalent of this position? And so we are going one by one. We did long underlying, short underlying, then we went to short put. And then we can go to this figure, which is short put here. You can see short put first you draw. So the solid line here, and so we have 4 positions left. We are going to consider 4. So this diagram looks at 4 option positions and gives you the synthetic equivalent. So it looks at short underlying, short put, long put, and short call. Sorry, not short underlying, short put, long put, short call, long call. 4 positions. Okay, this thing covers 4 option positions. As you know, there are 4 option positions. Okay. One minute. Okay. All right. Now, here, so 4 option positions. So, actually, I got distracted by the chat. When your messages come on the chat, I tend to look and see what messages people have sent. So, a lot of the time it's somebody has rejoined, etc. So anyway, so all right. So this is your structure of the position. It considers 4 option positions in turn, and the solid line is the original position, and the dotted lines are the 2 positions in underlying and options that constitute the synthetic equivalent portfolio for the original position, the profit profile of which is shown by the dotted line. Okay, so these 2 are the dotted lines here of not again dotted, I keep saying dotted line when I mean the solid line. Okay, so this is the solid line, the original position, and consider each of them, and then think about construct a synthetic equivalent portfolio with underlying and options, which will basically end up having the same kind of profit profile. Okay, so we did the short put. Okay, so we'll quickly go and do the other ones, as many as we can today. We have here. So this solid line is what kind of option position, or what kind of position? The solid line represents what kind of the profit profile for what kind of position. Does anybody want to answer this?
Long put.
Is this a long put? Let's see if Utsav is correct. This is a long put. Okay, first check. He said long, he didn't say short. Okay, so first check that if he's saying long option means you have to pay, if you're long an option, you have to pay a premium. Just like when you buy car insurance, you buy fire insurance, life insurance, anything, medical insurance. These are all option contracts. You're buying the contract, so therefore you have to pay a premium. So yes, it's correct because there is a part where he has a constant. The characteristic of all long option positions is that on one side of the strike, there will be a profile which is a constant loss, a flat constant loss, no proportional increase or decrease. And so that part of the test is satisfied because he said long, and we can see this is a profile for a long option because it's got a part below the zero line, okay, on one side of K. And so what did you say, long call or long put? What's up?
Sir, put, long put.
Here you said long put. Okay, now let's check the put part. If he's put part here, the profile shows that as the market rises above, as the market drops below K, the profile, the profit goes up in a proportionate manner. Okay, so if it's a put, what will happen in the case of a put? As the market rises, so we'll come to Nikita. Okay, so as the market rises, as the market drops below K, the intrinsic value of the put keeps on increasing. So therefore the option value keeps on increasing, and since he is long the option, his profit will also keep on increasing. So he's correct, it's a long put. Okay, so the intrinsic value keeps on, so this is a long put. So this is the original position. So we'll start, so this is the long put is the original position. We'll start from here in the next class. Okay, please revise this stuff. Yes, Nikita, what was your question? Or Nikita's maybe her
Sir, I didn't ask any question.
okay, your hand was raised. Okay, so anyway, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so that's fine. We'll stop here and I'll discuss. Yeah, the class is dismissed, and then the rest of you can go. Whoever has any conceptual question can ask me first, and then Aman, I've already given the instructions to talk to. Yeah, yes, okay. Before, yeah, yours is a conceptual question.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So the class is dismissed. The rest of you guys can go. Whoever doesn't want to stay back can go. Yeah. Yeah. Before.
Sir, my question is, sir, yesterday you said that your opinion changed with time, and you have to think about what that you are on buying on the long side or the short side, sir. Bullish or bearish view, sir. You said that you are at the bullish view or at the bearish view.
Okay.
So, sir, if we are looking at these graphs, sir, we have to revise it accordingly, or one graph will be enough?
No, I mean, what I'm saying is, let's say you look at any of these tickers, okay? Let's look at the QQQ, okay? Now, what is happening is you look at this, you look at the chart, you see the short-term data, you can see the detail here, and you can see the long-term data. So as I said, in option trading, you're concerned, especially with your kind of focus, which is not a market maker's focus, but a directional speculator in options, which means we just buy and sell options. So here you have two things that you're concerned with, okay? In your earlier project, you were concerned with only the underlying asset price direction. If you thought this was going up, you bought it. If you thought this was going down, you sold it. Okay. Now you got another problem. You got to worry about the eyeballs. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So in addition to what you had earlier, the concern with the underlying asset price, now you're also concerned with the eyeball charts. You got an additional level of problems. So you have to follow that logic. So what I'm you have to follow the logic I've given you in terms of that matrix. You remember the matrix?
Yes, sir.
Form a view on the underlying asset, then form a view on eyeballs, and based on the combination of those two, you will be in one of the boxes, right? In that matrix, you will be in one of the boxes,
Yes, sir.
right? So then what
Yes, sir.
I think the question that you're asking, what I'm saying is that this analysis that you're doing, this has to be repeated, which I've written in your notes as well, that this analysis has to be repeated every day. In the sense, every day or as frequently as you would like to do it. Ideally, you should look at it quite frequently.
Yes, sir.
So what I'm saying is the same thing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so let's say your frequency is once a day. I'm just giving an example, okay? Let's say your frequency, because you have quite
Okay, sir.
you have about 30 tickers. So let's say you look at everything once a day. So in the morning, you look at the morning of the trading day, you go through all your tickers, and every time you ask yourself, okay, QQQ, I was bullish on underlying asset. Let's say I'm just giving an example. If I was bullish on the underlying asset, you ask yourself, am I still bullish on the underlying asset? What is the answer? You find out, am I bearish now? Am I bullish? So you ask yourself the same question once again. Where do I think this market is headed? Okay, up or down? The question is the same. The process has to be repeated. Okay, it's like when you go to the gym, you have pretty much some same routine, but you go 5 times a week or something. So every day you go and you do the same thing, but you don't do it once a week. You're doing it 5 times a week, right?
Yes, sir.
So it's like running a routine. Okay, you have the same routine every day. You get up and ask yourself, where is the underlying asset going, up or down? Then you ask yourself, where are the eyeballs going? Are they going up or are they going to go down? And then again, accordingly, based on the answers to these two, you will be located in one of the boxes in the matrix, right?
Yes, sir.
You'll be in one of the boxes.
Yes, sir.
You have to ask yourselves, because if you already have an option position, then the question of expiration date and strike price, you don't have to decide because you already have them. So if it's a new option position, then you can think about expiry date and strike price as well. But for the ones that you already have, you will not have to think about those last two problems. But you do need to think about this. So if your view changes, then you will reverse your position, right? So if I was long here, if I was bullish here and I went long, at this point, if I feel no, it's not going to be bullish, then I will exit my position, right?
Yes, sir.
So that's what I mean, that the routine has to be repeated on a very frequent basis, ideally at least once a day. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Sir?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Sir, suppose, sir, I am trading, and sir, by repeating this, will it improve my trading skill, or will it improve my judgment about the options?
It will improve your judgment because, and it will improve your skill also, because your skill consists in large part of judgment. So there is some technical skill in terms of understanding conceptually how to think about these things. That is the theory that I have taught you, okay? But the objective of making you guys do these kind of projects is actually to improve your judgment, because these are not, this is not a science. This is not like civil engineering. Well, I teach you how to build a bridge, suspension bridge, and you learn it and you can put everything into a formula, and then somebody else doesn't have to learn it again. They can just use that formula. So here it's not like that, okay? So here, because a lot of things are very unpredictable in the market,
Yes, sir.
you
Yes,
have
sir.
to develop, the objective is that you have used the right word, judgment. The objective is really to develop your experience and your judgment. Okay, your judgment improves with experience, hopefully. So that's the whole idea, that you get more and more experience of how markets are behaving, and then you watch what kind of news and other inputs are coming in, and then how is the market behaving, and then you evolve your own trading style, right? So yeah, absolutely right that it will improve your judgment over time, and the judgment is a very big part of your skill in financial markets, in everything to do with finance. Judgment is very important, okay? Because finance is not, despite what you might feel by looking at all the textbooks and everything else. Everybody talks about finance as a quantitative subject. I don't think it's a quantitative subject. It's a conceptual subject and involves a lot of judgment. Okay, quantitative subject,
Yes, sir.
like civil engineering or aeronautics. These are quantitative subjects where everything can be coded into formula. So these are not subjects. Finance is not something where you can put everything into a formula. So big amount of judgment is involved, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so does that clarify your question? Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Any question? Any other question? No? Okay, fine. So Aman is still here? Aman is left. Okay, so he's got the instruction anyway. Okay, so if there's no other question, then I'll finish the class. I'll start.